Today, I would like to teach the basics of guitar strumming. Uh, there are many different types of strumming. You'll be surprised on some that you may have never heard of, but today I'm only going to cover three most basic. I will not get into the history of the invention of chord strumming or how it came to be in today. I'm just only going to teach the technical part, the technique, and a little just apply it to a music context. When holding the pick, you better make sure to not hold it too loosely like this. See how so much room, so much. See how my fingers are not even like on the pick almost. Like I get this very loose grip. When you're strumming up and down, the pick will move in the motion that you want it to, but you have a very good chance of dropping it. Now, the other thing that people typically do is they hold it too tightly like this. How your fingers are completely on the pick, but you got very tiny pick. You have very much of the pick left. It's just like this little stub, and your fingers are probably going to more likely than not get tripped up in the strings because you're holding it too tightly. Now, if you want to, improve it slightly, you can let off a little bit and have the pick like this. It's very tight, and you have way more control over what you're doing. But it's still not enough for strumming, in my opinion. So you're going to want to move back about towards the middle, where you have more grip and it's balanced between the grip and looseness. You have just enough grip and enough looseness on the pick to strum, because you're not going to lose the pick. Well, obviously you're not going to have much as the other tight grip, but you're definitely, it's going to be much better to hold it in the middle. And just for reference, you're going to want to hold the pick like this and then just apply it. Well, basically just hold it on your index finger and then apply your thumb, pressing down on the back part of it, and then you're going to want to bend the finger. Thus, you're going to get like this, but you're going to want to adjust it so it's, when you're downward, you're going to be like this. I'll show you in a second. Now that we cover the basics of how to hold a pick, it's time to apply it to strumming. With holding your fingers in the middle of the pick, now you're going to want to individually pick each string, because you're going to figure out how much pressure or tension you're going to be applying to each string. Typically, you're going to use more at the beginning or on the thicker strings than you will be at the end or the lighter strings. And you should be picking. This is where it gets more complicated for people. You should be not resting on the body of the guitar. Rather, you should be up in the air, more or less, just close to the bridge, but not completely pressing on it. Because if you do this, you're going to do what they call palm muting. It's another technique, but we'll get into that later. When you're just strumming, it's best to be more open about it, so that way all the notes that you're playing are clear and very articulated. You should be using your wrist, not your elbow. When you use your elbow, too much tension builds up in here, and your movements are much more sloppy, is the best way I can describe. It's a lot more easier to just use your wrist. Now that once you figure out how much pressure and tension you're going to use, you're going to want to just strum up and down until you feel comfortable with it. Make sure your pick's not dragging. Make sure you hold on. Don't hold too tight on the pick, but just loose enough. And make sure you're picking from an angle. You're me making like a circular motion. It's gonna be a little harder to do this without using your elbow, but you can also pick up and down. It's a little more wrist oriented, but it's me. It's me. It takes longer to come back up when you're strumming up vertically than you will be from an angle. So mess around with that and see how it fits in a context of a chord progression that you may be doing. I don't know. For example, E minor. It, and then it all fits in the context of what you're doing. The next technique that we're going to be covering is strumming with your fingers. And those who don't know, this technique is most popular in classical guitar. When starting to learn how to use your fingers, you're going to want to start off with using one finger, either your thumb or index finger. But for right now, I'm just going to use my index finger. Just like when using a pick, you're going to want to start using only one finger at a time. Well, one string at a time, I'm sorry. Just gently go up and down, up and down. The principles still all apply to the whole wrist rule. Or don't use too much tension, or don't use too little, otherwise, you won't really hear anything at all. Once you get comfortable with one finger, you can start using two fingers. See, from here, and I'm sure the majority of you already use 6-string guitars, and I know this is 7, but you're going to want to pretend with me. You're going to want to use the first finger to strum the first 3, in this case 4, and then you can use the second finger to strum upwards on the last 3. Or you can, it's kind of like alternate picking, but in this case strumming. When you're use one finger and then you can use the other one, it's a lot more quicker. I'm not going to get into the art of picking with your fingers. It's just it's another fun suggestion that you can mess around with. Alright. Now, the next technique that we're going to be discussing is a little more advanced, so if you think you're up to it, I recommend on trying it. And of course, you don't think you can do it, just still try it anyways. It's fun to either way. This technique that is called hybrid picking or plucking. Chicken plucking. Our next technique is hybrid picking. It utilizes both the fingers and the pick. It's primarily used in country, funk, blues, and jazz music, but it is popularized in metal music by people like Tuzz Nabasi, who doesn't strum, but he does pick. He does actually use this when it comes to economic picking, but in this case we're strumming, so we're gonna do it in a strumming fashion. One way of using this is you can strum downward with the pick, and then you can come back up using a finger. So it's just this really nice way of accenting a chord. Mess around with that and see how you like. Try any of these techniques. None of them are written in stone, but you can definitely use them to spice up a certain chord progression that may be boring after a while. It may be like a major 1, 4, and 5 chord progression, but